Hi, I'm Luce.
That's not true.
No, I'm Hannah.
Yeah, and I'm Luz.
And this is RYME. We're so curious.
We're so curious and want to learn
We love to talk
and connect.
and listen.
That's true.
So here we are, listening to you.
With a lot of questions.
Yeah, we're lifelong learners. We want to know you.
Let's rhyme, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's rhyme, baby.
Let's rhyme, baby.
This is a really special little mini-series season of our podcast, and we wanted to highlight specifically some rhymers who have actualized and embodied what they learned with us on retreat, and in combination with all of the years of work and all the experiences that they've all had in their own lives. Maybe how post-RYME retreat, they might have taken a leap of trust in a way that was extra supported.
Yay! I'm so honored to be here with both of you and just get to chat more about RYME, because it's one of my favorite things to talk about. And I swear I bring it up like very regularly to people and just on my podcast and in my own Instagram posts, because it really did activate this newfound like fire within me. So I'm really excited to chat more about that with you.
Yay. And it's all about trust.
So much trust. That was like the first word that came to mind too for me when she was kind of going through some of the questions that we're gonna discuss today. And I know I said newfound fire, but it is like a trust that I needed to cultivate within myself. And I thought it was, I will never forget. I bring this story up all the time, Luce. When we were on a call together and I was talking about how I just couldn't trust other people. I couldn't trust men specifically because of relationships that I'd been in. And you were like, no, that's not what it is. You were like, no, you just can't trust yourself. And ever since that moment, like I will never forget that conversation. It was such a turning point for me to realize like, wow, like it is totally about trusting myself. When I can cultivate that within myself, I can learn to trust other people and to have boundaries and to give myself space to accept all sides of myself and show up in the best way that feels good in that day. So yeah. So thank you for that. Seriously, it was an important conversation for me.
I remember that part too of our conversation. I was listening at you and I thought, this girl is gonna be really happy because this is an easy transition, because it's all about you, like you don't have to do anything about the outside world. It's all about you. Yeah. But actually what we wanted to talk about, Hannah, is something that has to do with trust. That is your journey, because now you're in Costa Rica. Like the last time I saw you in Costa Rica, that was when you were at the retreat, but you were not living in Costa Rica yet.
Yeah.
Right. So this season we want to talk about all these beautiful rhymers that like started with us and just didn't know what they wanted or where to go or how to do it, and we started like with this idea of interviewing our past rhymers or our current rhymers, or like however you want to call it, like about their journey, like how they like went about these things, because a lot of people ask us like I don't know how to do this, and like how did you do this? Well, we can tell our story over and over again, but that's just one story, and everybody has a different story. But what we feel like that the challenge is almost always the same, and it just starts with a lot of fear and doubt and like lack of access to trust. So we wanted to interview our people, our community that did it, and like what you said, Hannah, like actualized it, embodying it. Although it's still in motion, it's still we're not like, oh yeah, everything is always cool and fun and good. No, I mean, it's still challenging.
Not always that way.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like it's not just like you experience a RYME retreat or you experience some other life-changing experience and all of a sudden everything's figured out and it's transformed, but it's that you have more access to the trust that helps you feel supported when things are more like in flux, right? And less known. So could you talk a little bit about just your personal journey and maybe how you were living your life and what you were experiencing when we first met you about a year ago before your RYME retreat, and what you wanted for yourself, but maybe like the stuckness that you felt, or anything that can describe your personal journey pre-RYME.
Yeah, pre-RYME. So I really was wanting to take my business full time before I went on the RYME retreat. And I knew like there was like this potential within me, but I didn't know exactly how to access it. Like I was like pretty self-aware. Like I had like self-development, personal growth. Like I love that kind of stuff. And like investing in myself, I'd already done that quite a few times. And I just was really feeling called specifically to go to Costa Rica. And then just with all the synchronicities, I ended up going on your retreat in Costa Rica, and I never met like anyone actually on the retreat. So I was really going into this kind of blind, with a lot of trust. I think like even just taking that leap was like a form of trust. And so I knew it was there. It was somewhere inside of me. This was one point of it. But when I got there, I was a little surprised because I could tell I was like really guarded. And I naturally am like more of like an observer, but I didn't feel like, I wasn't fully connected with myself. I felt a little closed off. And then that really started to come more to the surface. And I gained some more awareness around that when we started doing like yoga together. And Hannah's just so intuitive. Like she's just walking around and she'll be like, Elena, like relax this part of your body. Like she just knows. She's not even like looking at me, I swear. She always can just feel it. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even know I was holding and tensing and like constricting these parts of my body. And just talking about breath, like just giving myself space to slow down and like actually breathe and be present with myself was something that I didn't feel a lot back home, because I was in a crazy job that I was working a full-time job, like at a gym, like 60 hours a week as a general manager. So it was like, go, 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 very masculine energy, just like hustle culture, super intense workout. So coming into this like really soft, feminine, spacious space was really what I needed to really come within and find that trust within myself. But it was a journey. Like it was a lot of just like bringing awareness to my body and my breath. I think that was like the first initial like point that helped me along the way, and has continued to help me along the way. Whenever I get really like in my head about things, like I'm like starting to fear, like doubt, or have imposter syndrome, it's like, okay, how can I slow down? Even right now, how can I slow down and breathe and just come back into my body again? That really helps a lot.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's always really good to hear, like in hindsight, right, Hannah? Like when people talk about the retreat and how they experienced it. And so you had that dream, you wanted to do something, but you didn't know exactly how to do it. Then you came to retreat. Great, right? And people like dive into all these modalities and like get to know their system better, like reflect themselves on others, and the other way around, and this beautiful group formed. But then you're back home.
Yeah.
Right. Then what happened? What did you bring home from RYME, and how did it help you move forward?
Yeah. And to add to that, if I remember correctly, you didn't necessarily have clarity. You just knew you were called to Costa Rica. You wanted to go inward a bit. But can you describe a little your process of like things becoming more clear about what you wanted to do next? Because that you weren't like signing up for the retreat saying, I want to quit my job and do this next thing, and the next thing looks like da 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 da. No, it was not clear. And so I'm curious if you can specifically like help us understand that journey, and then like when you got home, if that became more clear or what happened.
Yeah, I think like an important part of being at the retreat for me was coming within, but specifically to really like honor my gifts, because a lot of like my gifts as a human were something that I kind of viewed as a weakness, or I viewed as like not there. Like I was doubting myself and like what I had within me. So like a couple other like really prominent points that I remember was like sitting with Hannah and talking about how my sensitivity is actually a superpower. And that was like really important for me to embrace that, because that is like what helps me connect so deeply with people and helps me connect so deeply in my own work that I do, like one-on-one with people and in group settings. And I'm an energetic alignment guide and a artist. And so like I do energy work with people and I connect with people and hold space for people a lot. So really tapping into my sensitivity and my intuition was like really important. And I didn't really feel like, I kind of knew I was intuitive, but like that space that was held like really helped me connect to my intuition and like own it. Like that is actually like there, and like trust in that. And I think like having those like two gifts, like the sensitivity and the intuition, like going forward out of the RYMER tree and just like really like trying to like hone in on those helped me get more clarity on like, okay, I do really want to move to Costa Rica. Like the energy there is like inexplainable. Like I just felt so much more like myself. Like
it's funny that you say there, because we're here.
I know. And I don't think I'm like totally like, this is my home yet.
Yeah.
I still call Minnesota home for some reason, but I know like this is going to be my home.
Yeah.
It's my home. So yeah, I think it was like the energy here and like how I felt. Like I just felt like really like solid and like connected to my soul and like my true essence. So this energy, I was like, I want to go to Costa Rica. I knew that. I was like already trying to plan my next trip back to come in May while I was still here. And then I also knew that I did want to take my business full time. And like that was probably going to come along with me moving to Costa Rica and like quitting my job, because I was a general manager at a fitness studio. That studio does not exist here. So I knew I was going to end up quitting that job at some point. So I think those two things were like definitely like got clarity on that. And like, that's how I was moving forward. And I was going to do whatever to make it happen, because that's just the kind of person I am. Like once I decide on something, the same thing for the retreat. Like once I got it in my head, I was like, I know I'm doing that. Like, so that, again, like kind of trusting myself and the things that I really feel called to do.
Yeah. So really like tuning into powers you already have, like using that as pillars, like, hey, I'm holding on to this because this is what I want to do. And then you move forward. It's not always great, right?
No.
We also experience challenges. So can you talk a little bit about, like, you had these pillars and you had these beautiful like sources of trust and knowing where you want to go. That's like very helpful within in a system, right? If you want to move towards something. Like what did you experience, like challenge wise? Like what were some fears or doubts, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I think like for me, to sum all of my experience up at the RYME retreat was like, it was really like me opening my heart again, because I had protected myself for so long from past relationships and situations that I've been in. Like I just really had closed myself off. So it was like this reopening of my heart. And then that continued on through the rest of the year. But like with opening your heart, it can be really beautiful and expansive, but you can also feel a lot, like full spectrum of emotions. So like I was feeling deeper than I've ever felt in a long time. Maybe not ever, but in a long time, because I'd held a lot of my emotions in, like constricted and like not allowed myself to feel. So like I was really like feeling the waves of emotion, and like that can be like really intense. Like I mean, I was going through like sadness and anger and grief and so many things that I'd held in my body for so long. And moving to and like quitting my job and leaving like basically all my friends and family that live in Minnesota, I had to go through a lot of grief and a lot of like releasing and letting go. And like it was hard. Like I mean, like even just getting rid of my stuff. Like we accumulate so much stuff as humans, and I didn't think I had that much stuff until I was getting rid of most of it. And that was hard. Like I get like, I've noticed I think as humans, we just get attached to things and people easily. So it was like releasing this attachment to, and like these expectations that I had, and just kind of like allowing myself to trust in the process. And that is also not very easy to trust and surrender. So I think that's been like something I'm continuously learning along the way of like how can I trust a little more? How can I surrender a little bit more and like let go of control? Because like I only can control myself and how I respond to the situations that are in front of me. And and like letting my heart guide the way through all of the emotions. It's so interesting. You feel like sometimes you work through something and then there's like another layer behind it. And then there's another layer behind it. Like, it just, yeah, like you're just an onion peeling away all these things. So, I think coming here, I mean, right now, what I'm doing for my business is like, the goal is to take it full time, and I'm getting closer and closer. I feel like Costa Rica gives me the space to be able to do that and actually tap into my creativity and my intuition a little bit. Like, I just feel more connected here in general, because it's a slower, and I get to like breathe, and I get to move my body how I want to, slow mornings. And that was a little bit harder in the States, with the lifestyle I was living in the city. There's just so much energy. It's very chaotic. So that space has helped me a lot. And so now I'm working for my dad part-time, actually doing like HR for his company. So that's like my stability. And then I have my business right now that I'm like giving myself space and time to build up to be full-time. And goal is 2024, like to fully send it and take it full-time. And I'm working my way there right now, doing so many different projects. But I think like something that is like something I'm very much so working through too is like letting go of control. Like living in Costa Rica, I know I keep talking about it. It's just, I'm here, so I'm taking it all in, but like the bugs are everywhere. I had to let go of control, because like I just cannot control the bugs all over the place. I'm like,
Yeah, I saw you at the beach the other day, like,
just
like
still,
and
I've gotten so much
you've gotten so much
better.
better.
Oh my gosh, since I first came here, or even in February when I came with all the cicadas. Oh my gosh, like it was, it just always was so tense. So now I can feel in myself like, relax, like it's okay. But yeah, I mean, Costa Rica life is just a little bit unexpected. You're really just going with the flow. And I think that has allowed me to let go of control and to like let go of expectations and attachment, and just like be and see where things take me along the way. So yeah, that's going to be a continuous theme, I think, for me.
For those of you listening, like, this is not like you have to move to Costa Rica or you have to quit your job, but it's like, where can you tap into trust? And then what are the micro steps that make you feel safe, that make you feel good, and that create the space for you to be able to listen more closely to that authentic part of yourself that maybe wants to have a little more clarity around purpose, right? So
yeah,
it's so brave that you're doing that in a way that feels safe for you, and like micro stepping your way. And like, you know, we always talk about like this combination of effort and ease. So it's like, yeah, I have this idea for 2024 to be full-time, but also like easy, slowly gonna support myself in other ways until I get there.
Yeah,
you know, so you don't have this whiplash of decisions. And
yeah, I think that was actually, like, speaking of that, I think that was another big thing that I learned from RYME too, is just like, things can be easy. You don't have to force yourself to like get to a box, or you don't have to force yourself to feel a certain way or do a certain thing. Like, I think the ease, like, how can I like tap more into this ease in my life, has really helped me like also follow my intuition. Because I think with ease, it's usually following your intuition, and when something's forced, it's like, okay, I need to let go of control of this. I have to let go of expectations. If it feels forced, it's probably not for me. And then it like allows me to find a more easeful path, or just kind of like take space to reevaluate. So yeah, I love that concept too.
Like embracing your present reality. That's it, right? It's like, all right, this is just it. Like, I want to take my business full time, but I just cannot do this yet. And that's fine. And how can I get there? You know, like, what can I do today to move forward? And how can I tap into what I already have, right? So embracing that reality. I think you're doing that with a lot of grace, and falling down and frustration and more frustration and more challenges. But that's it, right? Like, we are finding ways to describe what we offer more and more. So these conversations are super important. And what I hear a lot, like I wrote it down too, is like, it's a journey, and that is it, right? It's a journey. So we want to offer people a beautiful experience with what they can move forward with. And we are super honest, all right? This can potentially be life-changing. It depends on what you bring to the table, right? But it is a journey. It's you will learn some things, and you can embody certain things, and you will grow into more and more into what you envision for yourself, sort of. But it's a journey. So, well, how would you what would you say to people that are now where you were before coming to RYME? Like, what would you advise them to do? Like, with the knowledge that you had back then, right? Like what would you have listened to? And it's like, oh yeah, that resonated with me back then. Like, what would you tell those people?
Yeah, I love that question. I would say, I mean, it's like trust. Trust keeps coming through, like really just learning how to trust yourself and to slow down. I think people a lot of the time like think they don't have the time to slow down. Like they're just so busy. I have so many things I need to do. There's so many things going on in my world. But like, it's actually interesting when you slow down. It actually gives you more space to do the things that you really want to, and also allows you to show up in like a more like connected and like whole way. I think like when we are moving like really quick, it's just you're kind of going through things like and doing things like halfway. But like if you can take time to actually slow down and like come within, you're actually able to show up better for yourself, for other people, and yeah, go after the things that you really want to do. It seems contradictory, but it actually does allow for more space and more time and energy to do the things that you want to do. So I encourage people to like, if you're feeling called, like to come within and take time for yourself, do it, because it will truly change your life. I really do feel like RYME changed my life, and getting to connect with both of you and all the people that were there. Like we're all still like a community. It's crazy.
I remember the first time like this person told me like, you need to trust, a long time ago, you need to trust and slow down. And I was like, what do you know? That's what I thought. Like, I'm going fast, and I'm like, I already trust myself. But boy, was she right. And I remember that so many times along my way. It's like, oh my God, this lady was so right, you know. And it's beautiful to hear you say that over and over again. And that is the foundation of what we start with people. It's slow down and trust. So I love that you say that, because you got it. We did it.
I got the lesson. Thank you. I was so honored to be here with both of you and getting to connect again and just feel the love. So thank you for holding space for me.
So we totally acknowledge that retreats are not always or ever accessible for everyone. So we've actually created 3 RYME recordings. They're audio tracks that include somatic movement, breath, visualization, hypnosis, and all supported by amazing bilateral and binaural beats. You might have heard our episode with Sebastian, where we actually describe the process of creating and producing the recordings together with him in Portugal. If not, go back and check that out. Also, we have those available on our website, so you can find those in our store. There are 3 different tracks: RYME Release, RYME Connect, and RYME Enhance. They're all 3 about trust. And if you're still listening, I'm about to give you a promo code for the recording called RYME Trust Release. Use the code NEEDRELEASE in all capital letters to receive release for 30% off, which makes it only $6.99 to download. It's about 40 minutes, and you will be able to experience many of our RYME modalities. You'll get to know our voices and maybe even release some blockages you have in your subconscious system around trust. They're very rhymey, they're very good, and we would love to hear from you about how you enjoyed them, how you liked them, and hopefully you download this one for a limited time with this promo code. As always, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, RYME_with_us, RYME. And also you can find our email and contact information on our website, as well as the recordings, www.rymewithus.com.